next speaker. His name is Emmanuel Mongela Macau. He's a Kenyan gospel musician based in the capital of Nairobi. He performs under the stage name Manolo, and he majors in the Afro-pop as a genre. So Manolo is popular among the Kenyan urban youth, especially fans of the gospel music. He began his professional career in music in 2012, and has led was a leading member of the group called Recap, an urban gospel group based in Kenya. He performed with them, and then he eventually went to form Manolo as a solo act. And he's also, besides the music, he's a entrepreneur. He runs a clothing branding business in the Kenyan capital, whose main clientele are corporate entities and learning institutions. And so we're really excited to have Manolo just talking about music entrepreneurship, youth empowerment. He's a key voice for the youth in Nairobi, Kenya, and we want to hear his story about how he's come to where he is. And so without further ado, I'm going to turn it to Manolo. Thank you, Manolo.
Yo, thank you. Thank you so much, Steve, for having me, and the whole team just for organizing this. This is amazing. This is great. As you have heard, my name is Manolo, or rather, I'm Emmanuel Mongela, but I go by the stage name Manolo, and I'm a gospel musician from Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm honored and happy to be here talking about music entrepreneurship and youth empowerment. So, basically, just right off the start, music entrepreneurship is where art and business meet. It's basically music business. So you have music here, so you have the art. How do you make money from it? And so to go on with this is just I'd like to break down a few misconceptions about the music business or music entrepreneurship. I mean, I've been at it since 2012. It's not been an easy journey. It's been difficult, but I just like to share a few of my experiences and break down a few misconceptions that we have as Africa, number one, and even the world at large. So number one is that most people think that music entrepreneurship is for musicians. They think that basically it's for people who can pick up a guitar, piano, or who can basically sing or rap. But just to break that down, I mean, it's huge. It's a huge scope. You can be in the music business as a producer, as a distributor, as an executive producer, as a manager, as a publicist. You can be as a musician, as a percussionist, an instrumentalist. It's so much, and this cake is so huge. So I'd like to break that out there and just let you know that if you're listening and you're thinking that, this is not for me, I can only sing in the shower. Well, this is for you. If you're good at marketing, you can be one of the biggest distributors or publicists in the region where you're coming from or in Africa, right? And you can be a solution to a huge problem for musicians out here. So another thing I'd like to break down is that people tend to think that the structure of the music business is similar or same all over the country, all over the world, and all over Africa, let me say, which is a huge misconception. And this is something that just messes up a lot of people's careers right from the get-go, because, the structures are different. Right now where we are at, if I'm speaking for my country, Kenya, in terms of music business structure, we have had a lot of indie artists. The influx has been massive ever since the beginning of, just having a lot of, indie artists, someone who comes up and they're their own structure, they're their own marketer, they're their own distributor, they're their own executive producer. By that I mean they're the ones who pay for their music to be produced. And you have that setup. But you see in the States we have, or other more developed and advanced countries, we have the structure whereby we have a record label. They come and get into a deal or a contract with a talented artist, and they have a team around him. So all he does, or when I say that, it makes it seem a bit small, well, not to diminish it, but what the artist does is just work on their craft day in, day out. And so they don't have to worry about their music video. They don't have to worry about, what's the next move. They just have to worry about making music and performing and working on their craft. So you need to really understand that if you're going to be interested, or if you're going to come into the music industry from any point. The last one is that people, as opposed to, um, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 30 years ago, the music industry has really grown, and entertainment as a whole has really grown. And what we have now is that opportunities are not limited to region, with the internet coming through, and a lot of, smartphone technology, and a lot of just apps here and there all over the world about, concerning streaming, downloads. We have such a wide array of applications and, things that can connect us. And the networking, I mean, it's in a bid to make the world a global village. And so, the misconception has been that if I'm singing in Nairobi, Kenya, then all I need is my music to hit here in Nairobi. Then in Nakuru, which is a town, a city that's just 2 hours away, or I need it to hit in Mombasa. And once I have Kenya on lock, then that's fine for me. Maybe I can cross over to Tanzania a little bit. But, that's a misconception. Your music can be big here in Nairobi now and still be huge in Tanzania tomorrow, and Ghana the other day. And later on during this session, I'll let you know how that comes into play. And so just to share a little bit of statistics with you, if you're not yet, you don't yet understand what we're talking about, music business. I thought music was just a passion. I thought it's a hobby for people. I thought only the Beyoncés and the Drakes are the only guys who can make money from this. Well, if a report by IFPI, which is the International Federation for Phonographic Industry, which deals with basically the recorded industry and the live industry, which is musicians basically, by 2017 they had the recording industry had revenues totaling to $17.3 billion. Yeah, let that rest in right there, that huge figure. Let it just rest in right there, and that's 2017, 3 years ago, and they just released something for 2019, and the sum is up. The sum is gone up, and the revenues are crazy. And you can imagine all these regions were just making money from music. And I mean, I can imagine the big chunk that it's playing in the GDP, and the big chunk that it's playing in the revenue of just the region, is crazy. And we can't hide this. It's so evident that there's such a growth when it comes to revenue in terms of music, the music industry. I mean, there was a 41.1% growth in the streaming revenue. Downloads went down. This is, now I'm thinking about the US, where streaming is easier nowadays, and there's more, people are more likely to stream your music than to download it, and even just crossing over to Africa. I do it all the time. I don't download, but I make sure, because there's Wi-Fi now. I mean, it's getting better in most cities, and it's getting cheaper and more affordable. Then you find that, people find streaming easier than downloads. I mean, there's a rise, there's a decline. Back then in 2017, there was a decline in live performances, meaning live revenue was not as huge. But then think about it, come 2019, live performances have brought in so much money, because guys have started going back to concerts. I mean, I went for so many concerts last year, not just because I'm a musician, but because I enjoy the music as well, and just enjoy the live performances, the quality that some of these artists in Nairobi bring. I mean, I think of Sauti Soul, man. They brought their house down. I remember I was there alone, and all my friends were with their girlfriends. And when they started singing the lovey-dovey song, I was just hugging myself and feeling so low. But anyway, for another time, a story for another day. Yeah, but I mean, live music and the revenue from live music and live recording has just gone way up. And you can see, basically what I'm trying to tell you is that globally, music industry undisputed, it has money. There's a lot of money flowing through it. Now let me bring it down back to my home country, Kenya. A report I read a while back was showing that Kenya came in number 3 as one of the countries that are raking in a lot of money in terms of the entertainment industry, with music right in there in the center of it. I mean, we had around 200 billion Kenya shillings in terms of as revenue coming in. and that was number 3 for us, and number 2 was Nigeria, and the margin was not so huge between number 2 and number 1, which was South Africa. So as you can see, Africa is crossing over, and Africa is, the consumption for music in Africa is crazy, man. And now you can see all these crazy innovations and all these people coming in to pour in money into Africa, into the music scene. I mean, why would Coca-Cola choose to start Coke Studio and not something else in another industry? I mean, it's because they see something there. Don't you agree? Don't you think so? I mean, I think so. Why would we have just the other day we had on the billboard, we had Davido, we had Tiwa Savage, we had Mr. Easy. Oh man, he's doing crazy work with Empower Africa. It's an initiative that he took up, and he has a lot of money being poured in there just to support the infrastructure or the music structure in Nigeria. And that's great, man. I mean, if you look at that, it just tells you that if people are willing to pour in billions of money, it means that this thing is profitable, this thing has revenue in it. So if you've been feeling that you're in the wrong place, that maybe you need to move and go to a different discipline, I'm here to tell you that, hey, you're in the right place. You just need to work smart and work hard, and make sure that you're ready for it, and stay in touch with the ground. Stay in touch with what is happening in 2020, 2019. All right. So moving on, coming back to Kenya, as I've just told you, we have so much money passing through. One of my good friends is called Clemo. If you're Kenyan and you're listening to this, you remember Clemo. I mean, he's a great producer, one of the legends. He started Caliph Records, which is a record label when he's trying to bring in infrastructure about 10 years ago. And he's one of the, few YouTube aggregators, one of the pioneer YouTube aggregators in Kenya, with his tag on those songs you listen to in East Africa, and you find the tag is written Ngoma, that's by Clemo. And one of the things he told me when I was about in the mid, when I was about, just about to leave Recap, I was about to give up. I was so tired of the music industry. I was like, there are easier ways to live, man. There are easier things that I can do. Clemo told me there's a lot of money passing through. There's a lot of money being generated in this music industry. For you, it's just to make sure, how does it come to your account? How does some of it pass by your account? And that gave me so much sight, because it made me realize that the cake is there. For me, it's just to find out, how do I get to the cake? How do I get to the food without watering down the message? I mean, remember, I'm a gospel musician, without compromising and without following the trends, just keeping true to myself. But how do I get to the cake? And I was checking out another report, and let me give you some more stats. 90.7% of all artists, of all talented musicians, are undiscovered. 6.8% are developing. 1.4% are mid-sized. That means you're almost out there, but you're not out there, yeah. And 0.9% are mainstream artists. 0.2% are the mega stars, the guys having a big chunk of this. And so, my manager and I like to clarify it as you're a class A artist, a class B artist, or a class C artist, or you're not an artist anymore. And right now it's for me to let you know, according to just my experience and what I think should be done for you to get from C to A, for you to get from the undiscovered artists to the mega stars, all right? And basically that's just in line with youth empowerment. And I feel like Africa, we have a really huge shot. We have a really big shot at this. And if you work smart and you work hard, I think you're going to get there. I don't think, I mean, I'm hopeful. I know you're going to get there. So just stay with me. I mean, I feel number one of the key things that as African musicians and musicians all over the world, we need to do is specialize. Figure out what you're good at. Figure out what comes to you. What can you do in your sleep? I mean, for me, singing, I can do singing anytime. Singing, I can sing easily. I can compose a song. I can compose a melody very quickly, very easy. Rapping didn't come that easy. Didn't come that easy for me, but what happened is just that I kept on practicing. I had the passion for it, and it came through. But still, singing is my core. And so, at the end of the day, I have to specialize. I have to know, what do I want to do? Do I want to be a rapper? Do I want to be a songwriter? Because I could also do that. There are people who write songs and you sell them, and you have, you have royalties from the artists who have actually sung these songs. And so for me, it was to specialize and know, this is what I want to do. I want to be a gospel minister. I want to be a gospel rapper, singer, songwriter from Nairobi, Kenya. And what I do is I'm a performing artist. I record and release music. That was my I specialized in that, and I said, this is what I'm gonna do. So being gospel, if I get a gig to do a secular, a secular type of thing, I go back to the drawing board and say, what did I specialize in? This is my, so you need to know, is your market share in the club, or is your market share in the pews in the church, or is your market share in the corporate section? Is your market share, where is your market? Where are your people? And if you don't specialize, you'll end up being a jack of all trades who, is never a master at anything, right? So that's the number one thing that I feel a lot of people, even here in Africa, you're so gifted, you're talented, but you're multi-talented. You can play guitar, you can do this, you can do that, and so you end up being caught up in this web of, what am I going to do? The other thing I feel that we need to really work on, just to get in terms of music entrepreneurship, is work on your skill. A lot of people never work on their skills. I remember watching an interview by Akon. Akon was being interviewed, and he was talking about a project he did with Eminem. And Eminem, he said that one of the things that Eminem shocked him with, or taught him, is that he took music to be a 9 to 5. Gets to work, records, writes, goes for lunch, comes back, records, writes, goes home. And for me, I took that to heart. I was like, unless I take, because at that point I was trying out anything. I was doing business, so music started taking. I was starting I was really going deep in the branding business. So you find out that music took only maybe 24 hours of my week. And clearly at that time, I didn't record as much, I didn't write as much, and I could see music suffering. I could see my key passion, I could see my key thing suffering. And for me, I had to go back to the drawing board and say, what do I want to be? What do I want to work towards? What do I want to achieve? And I really had to dig deep and say, I need to sacrifice some things, all right? And so, that's the thing. You need to work on your skill, because let me tell you, opportunity is going to come. And for this music thing, is like the stars, the planets, everything aligns. And the day it aligns, you need to be ready. So work on your pitch, pitch that thing, work on it, work on yourself, sing every day till you're the best musician. I remember watching a clip that's been doing rounds on Instagram, on social media, of Bobby Schmurda performing before execs at the record label that he signed to. And I watched that thing and I was like, this guy was ready. He was ready for the performance of his life. He was ready for the performance of his life. He was sliding on tables and everything. He had the gun out, the fake gun, and talking about all street. And you could see there's no way they could have not signed this guy. So you need to be ready. And that comes from working on your craft, working on your skill. You do it, let them think that you're done, but keep working on your skill. Very quickly, get reading, get to learn, thank you so much for joining even this webinar, because, get to understand, get to know, get the stats. I've listened to so many artists cry about, oh, I don't own my masters, or they took advantage of me. But if you read, when opportunity comes, no one will take advantage of you, because you will know already. The other day I was talking to one of the artists, the up and coming artists here, and we were at an interview together, and it was like, oh, Manolo, yeah, I really like you, I really like your music. I don't take that for granted. And it was like, I need to understand how do I grow without being exploited. I asked him, what do you mean? He said, well, I had a manager and he had me pay him about 7,000 Kenya shillings to open a YouTube account. And man, I listened to him and I was like, it's free. This is free stuff. You can just go online. And I don't want to call it ignorant. I just want to say, man, we need to learn. We need to be studying on our own. We need to get the know-how, get the knowledge, my friends, get the knowledge, my people, so that whenever you get a deal, you know how to navigate it. Very quickly, you need to network. As I've said, the world is global. I mean, I'm here talking to Steve. I don't even know if he's in India or the US. You know, I'm here talking to you guys, and get to network. The world is right now, the world, you can network with anyone. You can network with people all over the country. You can start a fan base in Scotland, in Poland. I mean, come on. You just get to work, man. Network, get your image out there, go for as many gigs as you can. You know, look at your role models, get your role models, and get to see, how can I get close to that person? What can I borrow from that person? And that worked for me, because I would make sure that I was at every gig for people I looked up to. People I look up to, I still go to their gigs and still want to learn from Giuliani, because he's been doing this way longer than I've done it, and he's penetrated the corporate market, the corporate sector. As I just land this plane, I'd like to, you know, marry these two: music entrepreneurship and youth empowerment. Just for a minute, I'd like to say the biggest problem we have as African musicians is, you'll talk to someone and they'll be like, oh man, you know, but I still don't have money. I'm waiting for the pastor to listen to my worship music and fill me and give me the cash to shoot my video. I still don't have money. I'm still, and that's fine. It's okay. But I feel like we need to get moving. Opportunity will find you on your way. It'll find you on the way. All right? Yeah. So we need to get moving. We need to get going. Yeah. Let's record. Keep recording. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Manolo.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you for your insight. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the keynote. If you could just drop just like your information on the chat, so people can have how to access your music, how to access your websites or anything like that. We're gonna do a drawing for the giveaway. So the giveaway is gonna be 1,000, Kenya shillings. So that's 1,000 bob, and the winner is Cynthia Mutanu. So if you're Cynthia Mutanu, just write your name, your email on the chat to the panelists, and we'll get you the giveaway. And then we're gonna, next we'll be having another panelist coming on. But thank you so much, Manolo.
Yeah, thank you, Steve, for having me. I don't know if I can say one last parting shot.
Sure, yeah, sure, just quick.
All right, quickly, is just a challenge to all of us is that, the opportunity is going to come. Your time is going to come. So is it going to find you lying down? Is it going to find you rusty? Is it going to find you, almost hopeless? Or is it going to find us empowered and ready to get it? Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Steve. Thank you so much for having me, Steve.
You did great.